Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to talk about are 7 watches that have 7-day power reserve. Most of them have a power reserve indicator to let you know how much room you have, how much time you have before you have to rewind them. Now we're going to start off with what's called the Panerai 8 days, and this is running on an in-house movement called the P5000. And the 2 models that I picked to look at, one is the Luminor Base 8, 8 days, and the other one is called the Marina. And these 2 watches, I chose one in black and one in white. The only thing about, the only downside, this is one of the few watches in the group that doesn't have a power reserve indicator. Most of them have one either on the dial or on the back. On the back, this is my H. Moser Henry double hairspring, and it's is right here. I don't know if you can see it. And, you know, before I put it on, I'll take a look at it quickly and see how many days I have left. It's only a 3 or 4 day power reserve, but some of them do have them on the back. These chose not to have either. The price of these, I think, is fairly reasonable, given the larger context of luxury watches. And they're all stainless steel. The black dial Luminor is $6,000 and the Marina is $6,600. If you go out online and look around, you can find some pretty good deals for brand new ones. Condition 0 I found one for around $5,000. And the speed of the movement, this is you're going to find throughout. The speed of the movement are, I should say, the number of vibrations per hour, not the speed, is lower than what's considered to be sort of your average. Your typical one is 4 hertz, which is 28,800 vibrations per hour. And on the slower ones, the spring doesn't expand, doesn't discharge as quickly. So that's one of the things about the lower speeds. Also, too, I think I mentioned this before in another video. For some reason, even when they don't have a very long power reserve, all of your top watchmakers use something below 4 hertz. I'm not quite sure why yet, but they do. All right, the next watch is Parmesani Fleurier Colpa XL Hebdo Madari. It is one of my favorites. A nice big watch, and at the 12 o'clock it's got a little fan-like power reserve indicator. Now this one is also for 8 days, just like the Panerai. And it's one of the things I like about this watch is that when you turn it over on the back, you can see the movement. And it's very clear that when they made the movement, they wanted it to fit the dial. And especially when you're dealing with a 7-day, an 8-day in this case, when you're dealing with a longer charge to your before you have to rewind it, you need to use all of the space that you've got, and they do a very good job of it here. This particular one, this Colpa, has that sort of between the center and 6 o'clock, it has your small seconds, and then in the middle of that there's the date. Very interesting watch, very different watch. And the thing about different watches, even though Parmesani has one of the best watchmaking companies around, they're not that popular. I mean, they just haven't gone over. People want to wear something else. That's okay for collectors, though, because the price is lower than really what the typical asking price is. For example, the stainless steel one is $19,900, but you can find brand new ones for around $8,000. This one, I found one for $7,995. These are wonderful watches. They really are. The movement is called the PF110 in-house, of course, like everything else, including the hairsprings. Everything is made by Parmesani and the companies that sort of form this bigger group that they sort of are the top of. The speed is again 3 hertz, and it's really nice. Well, now the next one is an unusual one. This is the one watch in this group that is an automatic, but it's also has a 7-day power reserve indicator on it. And I'm not sure why. Usually it's a trade-off. One, you want with less room taken up by the rotor and some of the other things that go into an automatic. You can put in bigger barrels and so forth to extend the charge of your mainspring. Here, they decided to put in both. It's automatic, self-winding, has a frequency of 4 hertz, which is 28,800 vibrations per hour. It sells for $13,200. That's the AD price, and it's sort of the AD price is about $10,250. You could pick one up if you really like this. Bronze, not gold, and I really like the looks of this thing. There's a great big old crown on it. By the way, too, one of the things I picked up, I was thinking about pilots' watches and wind-ups. A lot of the World War II aircraft in their instrument panels, they had an 8-day clock. And the 8-day clock was a wind-up. It was, and I'm not sure why they settled on 8 days. The clocks on aircraft, they're a little bit bigger than your typical watch. But Jaeger-LeCoultre, all kinds of different companies made them for, both the Allies and the Axis powers. The Luftwaffe has a similar clocks, and they'll say 8 Tag instead of 8 days, same thing. Anyway, so this is another one, and this is unusual in that it's an automatic. All right, next up we have, I keep saying, oh boy, I love this watch. I just, oh boy. This is true with so many of these that I'll be saying it a lot. So now this one again is 42.8 millimeters. It's a good size watch. It's a Pioneer Perpetual calendar. One of the things, to me, it's unfortunate because a Perpetual calendar. I love the Perpetual calendar that H. Moser has. They won a Grand Prix award for it. It's just incredibly smart Perpetual calendar. But this is they only have their 7-day wind-up with a Perpetual calendar. They have it for both the Pioneer and the Endeavor that have Perpetual calendars for. And this one's almost $40,000, $39,900. And on the secondary market, the best I could find was around $25,000. But boy, I tell you, what a watch. This one does have the power reserve indicator on the dial, on the front of the dial. As I pointed out earlier, my H. Moser has it back here. And some of the other H. Mosers I've seen have the same thing. But this watch is just fantastic. One of the things about Mosers, they have this very low vibrations per hour. This is only 18. And that means that if you're going to have a watch anywhere near accurate with that low of a vibration per hour, you need really precise engineering in the rest of the watch. So, and like I said, all of the really top-notch FPs, Jorn, Kerry Voetenland, and all of them, Roger Smith, have this lower vibrations per hour, even on a simple time-only watch. Not sure why. Just still trying to figure that one out. All right, the next one is a Jaeger-LeCoultre Master 8 Days Perpetual. And this is the other one that has the 4 hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's got a double barrel to it. Now this is and it's big. It's 40 millimeters. It's not huge, but it's good size. And again, when we take a look at the movement on the thing through the exhibition window in the back, that's a pretty good sized watch. I mean, that's a pretty good sized movement fitting the case fairly closely. Now, this has a lot more to it than just the 8-day. It's also a perpetual calendar like the Moser is. You can see at about 11 o'clock there's the power reserve indicator, and it has a little 8, and then it goes down to 1. That's time to rewind. Days of the week, year, it's got everything. This is really some watch. I like it. The only thing I hesitate about is, oddly, is the vibrations. I'd like to see a lower number, but for some reason they thought, well, this works for us. I really like what they've done also with this sort of the starburst type of waves that they have on the back. All right, the next one is one that I know a thing or two about because I have this one. This is a wonderful watch. This is the Beauvais. The one I'm showing up there is the white dial. I got the blue dial. Right here is the power reserve indicator, and you can see up there in the right corner what it looks like. And what you see on the watch, it comes right through from the top of the movement that you're looking at. And this is every Saturday I wind it, and that's it. It's very nice. I mean, it's just, I like manual wind. And one of the things you'll see, the connoisseurs, I read an article that said the connoisseurs like the manual winds. I suppose I have a number of automatics, and they're fine. They're fine. I worry about keeping an automatic and a winder, and yet right now I have 2 that are in a winder that are keeping wound up, but I prefer the manual wind, and at least some of them have a weekly wind, a 7-day like this Beauvais does. If all of my watches I had to wind, I got a lot of them. I really enjoy winding them up. By the way, too, I promised to have a wristwatch check. I have on my FP Journe Chronomet Souverain right now. Okay, now the final one we're going to take a look at. I keep saying it, I really like this one. This one was a big surprise. It's an Oris, and Oris is typically associated with standard horology. This one, though, is very strong horology. It has it's called the Artier Caliber 112, which is an in-house Oris movement. And it's really some movement. I mean, because that thing is, it's running at 3 hertz, which I like. Manual winding, Caliber 112. The Swiss official price is 6,400 Swiss francs, which is $6,665. You can find these, though, brand new on your secondary markets for around a little over $4,500. This watch is just, it's not 7 days or 8 days, it's 10 days. Has a 10-day power reserve, and is just wonderful. At 3 o'clock there's a sub-dial, and you can see it goes from 10, and then when it gets down to 1 days, it gets into the red zone. And this is, I gotta tell you, Oris is a watch I usually don't pay much attention to, but this one is really a very, very nice one. And it's, well, as far as these kinds of watches, and what I mean luxury watches go, $46.95 for this watch, brand new, isn't bad. I don't think. I think it's a pretty neat watch. Okay, well, the whole idea of both the automatics and the 7-day or extended charge on a watch are things that you don't have to get up every morning and wind your watch, otherwise you'll be late to work. And it is a nice thing. I mean, I'm not very practical. I'm a watch collector. If I were practical, I'd be doing something else with watches. But I like to collect them, and so I not only do I not mind winding them, I sort of like it. And this guy gets his weekly wind. I'd like to hear what you have to say too. This is something, if you know some other watches that are weekly winds, or there's one I think by A. Longensohn, which is 31 days. Now that thing costs, I don't know, $500,000 or something. It's sort of out in outer space price-wise, but it's a mechanical watch, and it's got this key you wind it up with. But for the most part, the ones we're focusing on here are sort of what I'll call the weekly winders. And if you know of a good one, let us know in the comments. Or what do you think of the ones that we've looked at here? Maybe there's one you'd like to get. And of course, this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. So until Sunday, when we have, well, I think we may end up with a surprise on Sunday. We'll see. Until then, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.